1st, 1976 to October 24th, 2003, we had a commercial supersonic passenger plane called Concorde. 7 hours to fly from New York to London. On the Concorde, it took about 3 hours and 30 minutes. Style and the miracle of engineering. Here's a normal plane landing, and here's the Concorde landing. Which one are you looking at? With Concorde, we all looked up and pointed, and then in 2003, was twice as reflective as other jets, just to compensate for the heat from air friction.
Because you're traveling at Mach 2, twice the speed of sound, even though you're at 60,000 feet, the airframe would actually heat up dramatically.
Float around the plane during flight to adjust its center of gravity for takeoff, cruising, and landing.
So these pumps are working the whole flight.
Concorde, April 1969. Last British Concorde, April 1979. And over the years since then, the workers have grown just as fond and just as proud of their aircraft as boat builders are of their ships. But now, many Concorde workers feel that governments and airlines have let them down. Alan, who's an electrical system, is automatically controlled by mini-computers. With the beautiful shape of Concorde, technology has finally caught up with the schoolboys in exploiting the most aerodynamically effective form for rapid flight, the shape of the paper dart. But hidden underneath that shape is the massive engineering which has to be put together by the workers. And the man responsible for combining all their efforts is assembly manager Freddie Price.
It never stops. From the time we had the motor car with someone with a red flag. And now we know what motor cars are today, and that's it.
The third aircraft, that's it, and we've got type. And for the technically minded people,
just trying to get the aircraft ready for rollout next morning. But it's so different to the present day aircraft that even I would have problems finding things. It's all going back in time.
Back in the early 70s, although Concorde was being built at Filton, the test flights were all being done from Fairford, deep in the Gloucestershire.
People like this in most industries, I suppose. And this chap was Concorde 25.
A technological masterpiece. Concorde turned heads throughout her magnificent career.
It was this amazing triumph.
She flew on the edge of space at twice the speed of sound, out cabin. Passengers savoured haute cuisine and vintage champagne. In the sky.
It's undeniable that it is the most glamorous and the most exciting and the most brilliant aircraft.
To be able to fly at more than twice the speed of sound required huge leaps in aircraft design.
I would spend a lot of time during the day coming down with just a little clipboard with something scribbled on. I was down here every day just about looking round, and I'm sure my bosses used to think, where's Nigel? But I was, oh yeah, be downstairs with this clipboard. It was a passion and a pride and privilege to be actually working out here and see this aircraft which was being built.
The two ministers jointly cut the ribbons to release the aircraft for its ceremonial rollout.
Here too was a chance to meet the brave test pilots who would risk their lives flying the prototypes. For the French,
I don't think you can.
She flies. Concorde flies at last.
Joe, as she was called at the time, because they were early production engines, quite smoky and dark smoke out the back. She began to turn around the colleague I was with, so we...
Concorde 002 flew for a whole 22 minutes, touching down at RAF Fairford, 50 miles away. Here the pilots were greeted. Concorde's superb engineering made failure far less likely. But now, ready to enter service, it had problems of its own.
This was a bad time. Remember the early 70s? Gosh, 1973.
Anyone able to stump up £431 for a single fare could cross the Atlantic in 3.5 hours, rather than 8.
We're flying now down the Adriatic, and as we approach Egypt, someone from the front said, if those on the left-hand side, if you look out slightly to the front, there's the pyramids and there's the Sphinx. He said, I feel sorry for you, those on the right.
Public events. It seemed like the dream would go on forever.
I was retired and I'd been on the bus to Farnborough.
In 1975, the Concorde now in the production phase. The whole program got another big lift. Concorde received its full certificate for airworthiness.
To reach Sydney by Concorde from London would take half a day. For the first time in airline history, circumnavigating the Earth in 24 hours had become a reality.
presidential aircraft is back in the spotlight. Its last flight was back in 1985, but now its magnificent past and role in civil aviation history will relive. The aircraft was able to travel between New York and Paris in just 3 hours. Suggests Aeroscopia has a great future ahead of it. The museum will open in the autumn. More than 100,000 visitors are expected in the first.
The Americans ruined their shop by tying themselves up in bureaucracy in 1978 when a cargo version went down after a fuel line rupture, and yet again in 1980 when one suffered.
Already used as much fuel as the average car uses in 6 months. Looking at or decision speed. They're now going too quickly. Suddenly, the plane begins veering left. Gilles Longelin realizes he's now watching a disaster.
It was a very...
The plane is engulfed in flames.
Some things that is not covered, but something that
is rapidly consuming their plane, the supersonic marvel of modern aviation. Slams into an airport hotel.
Oh mon Dieu.